Hello my dear students, welcome to everybody to my channel STEM Educator and Innovator Suresh. I think all of you are well and fine by this pandemic period of time, and today I want to discuss with you about physics AS Cambridge, and from physics I want to discuss the subject 1. The name of the chapter is Kinematics Describing Motion. So don't be late, hurry up, let's start now. Hi guys, welcome again, and I want to give a gentle reminder to all of you that the theme of the channel is enter here to acquire knowledge and be out for the welfare of mankind. Don't forget it, and of course don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon to get the latest update of the channel. Thank you. Since I will discuss today about physics AS Cambridge, so we want to introduce with the subject. The subject code for physics is 9702, and you know in AS level it has 3 papers, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, and you know paper 1 is MCQ or multiple choice questions, paper 2 is structured questions, and paper 3 is nothing but practical. I am discussing today elaborately about paper 1, paper 2 of chapter 1, and the total marks for this paper is 60, duration 1 hour 15 minutes, book references, book name Cambridge International AS and A-Level Physics Course Book, author David Sang, Graham Jones, Richard Woodside and Gurinder Sanda, publisher Cambridge University Press, 5th edition, ISBN 9780521183086. Today I want to discuss about chapter 1, Kinematics Describing Motion is the name of the chapter. Well, firstly the term comes here, speed. What is speed? Speed is the rate of change of distance is called speed. It's a scalar quantity, its SI unit is meter per second. Mathematically or symbolically, we can present it V equals to d by t, where V indicates speed, d indicates distance traveled, and t indicates time taken. Next term is coming here, the average speed. The average speed of an object is defined as the total distance traveled divided by the total time elapsed. It's a scalar quantity, its SI unit is also meter per second. Mathematically, we can write average speed equals to total distance covered divided by total time taken. In symbols, V average equals to d divided by t. Next, we want to see the other units of speed. There are many other units used for speed. The choice of unit depends on the situation, like M inverse S means meter per second, Cm inverse S means centimeters per second, Km inverse S means kilometer per second, Km inverse H or Km per H means kilometer per hour, MPH means miles per hour. These are other units used in measuring speed or indicating speed. We know speed is a scalar quantity, that is, it hasn't any direction, only magnitude and unit requires to indicate this speed. About scalar and vector, we already discussed in mathematics mechanics part in my previous video. You can get the information about in the description box. Now, determining speed. How can we determine the speed? Laboratory measurement of speed. There exist 4 categories of measurement or determining speed technique in laboratory in your syllabus. First one is using 2 light gates. Look at this. In the left side, we are observing that there is a trolley or toy car and a timer is present here, including 2 light gates, starting part 1 light gate and stopping part another light gate. The leading edge of the card in figure left, that is indicating this figure, breaks light beams as it passes the first light gate. When the car is passing through this first light gate, it breaks the light beam, and at that instant the timer starts. The timer stops when the front of the car breaks the second beam, means when this one breaks, then the timer be stopped. The trolley's speed is calculated from the time interval and distance between the light gates. So it's very easy to measure. We can do it in the laboratory, and usually you do it. Next, we are getting using one light gate. How can we measure the speed or determine the speed in the laboratory? Look at this here. One light gate present. In the previous slide, we discussed about two light gates, but here only one light gate. The timer in the figure left starts when the leading edge of the car breaks the light beam. It stops when the trailing edge passes through. In this case, the time shown is the time taken for the trolley to travel a distance equal to the length of the car. That is, the length of the car traveling time required is being given by the timer. So the computer software can easily find out or calculate the speed directly by dividing the distance by time taken. Next, we want to see the another process using a ticker timer to determine the speed. Okay, look at this. In the figure left, start by inspecting the tab. This will give you a description of the trolley's movement. Look at what's the arrangement of the apparatus. There is a power supply, there is a ticker timer, and obviously this is a tab, and this is a trolley or toy car. So how does the car moving towards this direction, means from back to front like this direction? If you observe, the dots distance are gradually increasing. So we have to observe and analyze the distance between the consecutive dots, identify the start of the tab, then look at the spacing of the dots. If the dots are even, we will consider the toy car or the trolley was moving with uniform speed. But if it is uneven, that is increasing or decreasing the space, then we will say it is in increasing speed or decreasing speed, means speed is not constant. Next, we want to see fourth technique or process using motion sensor. The motion sensor in figure left transmits regular pulses of ultrasound at the trolley. It detects the reflected waves and determines the time they took for the trip to the trolley and back. From this, the computer can deduce the distance from the trolley. From the motion sensor, it can generate a distance time graph as well. You can determine the speed of the trolley from this graph very easily. So the fourth process is much more accurate and effective since it is done by the computer simulation. Well, next we want to see distance, displacement and vector. First one is distance. The length moved by an object without considering the direction during its motion is called distance. It's a scalar quantity. Its SI unit is meter. And displacement, the next term, the distance moved by an object in a particular direction during its motion is called displacement. It's a vector quantity, that is, it has both magnitude and direction. Its SI unit is meter as well. And vector, the physical quantity that have both magnitude and direction, is called a vector. So here, distance is not a vector, but displacement is vector. Speed is not a vector, but velocity is a vector. We learned about it in mathematics mechanics as well. Well, next we want to see another term is coming here, velocity. Velocity is the rate of change of displacement. Its magnitude is the speed. Its SI unit is meter per second. Since velocity is a vector quantity, it is defined in terms of displacement. So we want to see mathematically velocity equals to change in displacement divided by time taken. Symbolically, velocity v equals to s divided by t equals to delta s by delta t, where delta or del indicates the change in displacement divided by change in time. We can also indicate it by means of this v equals to d by t, where v indicates here velocity, d is displacement traveled, t is time taken. Next we want to see another one it is displacement time graph. Look at this. There exist 4 graphs, one after another. And topmost left, if we see the graph, the straight line shows that the object's velocity is constant. Time in horizontal or x-axis and distance in vertical or y-axis. And we are observing the graph is a straight line passing through the origin. So the velocity is constant since the tangent or gradient or slope is constant here. And leftmost below, if we observe the graph here, 2 graphs present here, high V and low V. What does it mean? The slope shows which object is moving faster. The steeper the slope, the greater the velocity. Here this one has the greater slope and this one has the lower slope. So the steeper the slope, higher the velocity. And topmost right, look at this. The slope of this graph is 0. The displacement s is not changing. Hence the velocity v equals to 0, means the object is at stationary or rest. And rightmost below, distance time graph, we observe that it was increasing up to time capital T. After that it is now going down. What does it mean? Up to this point, that is time capital T, the slope was positive. But after this instant, its slope is now negative. What does it mean? The object is moving back the way it came. Its velocity v is negative after time capital T. Okay, very nice. We want to see the next one. Next one is very interesting, I think. Yes, this displacement time graph is curved. The slope is changing. This means that the object's velocity is changing. Look at, it's a curve. Means slope is being changed time to time. Since slope is not remaining constant, the velocity is also not constant throughout any point. Means the velocity is being changed, so acceleration occurs. About this acceleration, we learn in chapter 2. So wait for the next video. Well, we want to see much more interesting thing. Look at this. Deducing velocity from a displacement time graph. Very interesting. Velocity equals to gradient of a displacement time graph. And based on this concept, we want to solve a problem. Problem solving 1. Test yourself 12 of your book. Look at this table below, and this table shows the displacement of a racing car at different times as it travels along a straight track during a speed trial. You are asked to determine the car's velocity, and question B asking you to draw a displacement time graph and use it to find the car's velocity. So look at the table. It's very simple. At time 0, the displacement 0. At time 1 second, displacement 85. At time 2 second, displacement 170 meter. At time 4 second, displacement is 340. The table description, displacement S and time T, data for test yourself question number 12. Well, we want to solve it now. Okay, look at the table again. We want to see the solution number A. The car's velocity, we know velocity is displacement divided by time taken. If we observe, after 1 second the displacement was 85 meter, so velocity equals to 85 by 1.0, means we can write another one for the next data. 2 second, 170 meter displacement, so 170 divided by 2.0, and for 3 seconds you can see total distance traveled, that was 255 meter. So 255 divided by 3.0. If we calculate by using a calculator, all of them will get the same value. This is nothing but 85.0 meter per second. And for question number B, you are asked to draw a graph by using the data given in the table. So displacement versus time in second, displacement in meter. I want to remind all of you, don't forget to label the graph. At the time of plotting any graph, you must have to label it with proper units described in your question. So don't forget to label the graph properly. After that, you have to plot the data. There exist 5 data, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. After plotting using a scale and pencil, join all the points smoothly. You'll get a smooth straight line passing through origin. So this is the graph, and from the slope we know slope equals to rise by run. After doing this, we'll get the same thing, 85.0 meter per second. So that's all for the calculation question number 1B. Now we want to see more about it. Okay, problem solving 2, work example 3 of book. A spider runs along two sides of a table, which is shown in figure below. Calculate its final displacement. How we want to see? The spider starts from O and move towards A directly. It is north direction. OA straightly, it is 0.8 meter, and from A it's moving now towards east and it travels 1.2 meter to reach at B from A. So you are asked to find out the final displacement. So what's the displacement? We know it is the shortest distance between the initial point to the final point. So spider starts from here and finish at here, O to B. OB is the shortest length or distance between initial and final position. So OB will be the final displacement. We are asked to find out the length OB. We want to see the calculation in the next page. Look at this. Step 1, because the two sections of the spiders run OA and AB are at right angles, we can add the two displacements using Pythagoras theorem. So what will be it? We know hypotenuse square equals to the adjacent square plus the perpendicular square. So OB square equals to OA square plus AB square. Put the value of each of them, 0.8 square plus 1.2 square equals to 2.08, and finally we are getting OB equals to square root of 2.08, and this is equals to 1.44, nearly one decimal place it is 1.4 meter. Okay, I think all of you get it very easily. We want to see the next one, step 2. We know displacement is a vector quantity. We have found the magnitude of this vector, but now we have to find its direction. The angle theta is given by tan theta equals to opposite by adjacent. We know from trigonometry, and opposite of theta is 0.8 meter and adjacent is 1.2 meter. So 0.8 divided by 1.2 equals to 0.667. So theta equals to tan inverse 0.667. We are getting by using calculator 33.7 degree, near integer is 34 degree. So the spider's displacement is 1.4 meter at an angle of 34 degree north of east. That's all. So how easy to calculate the displacement having both magnitude and direction. Next we want to see problem solving 3. An aircraft flies 30 km due east and then 50 km due northeast. This is shown in figure below. Calculate the final displacement of the aircraft. So all the things we are getting here, north and this is east. So the aircraft moving first 30 km, reaching at here, making 45 degree with the horizontal or east direction. It is moving towards this up to 50 km. So you are asked to find what is the aircraft's final displacement. So first of all, if we draw a vector diagram by using this information given, then it will be very easy to calculate. How can we draw the vector triangle? Look at this, it's simple. Choose a suitable scale first. Your diagram should be reasonably large. In this case, a scale of 1 cm to represent 5 km is reasonable. So a scale selection is very important. Some of the students be confused which scale should be used in your application or in your calculation. Draw a line to represent the first vector. North is at the top of the page always. Don't forget, top of the page. From this to this is north. So when you are in north direction, right hand of you will indicate east and left hand of you will indicate west. So always remember, north is towards top of your page. Okay, the line is 6 cm long towards the east, which is right. Step 3. Draw a line to represent the second vector starting at the end of the first vector, and then the line is 10 cm long and at an angle of 45 degree. All this step description, if we arrange in a figure, that will be like this. Okay, look at this, how nice the figure is. So we have presented here 1 cm equals to 5 small square in x-axis, and in y-axis also 1 cm equals to 5 small square. Now presenting them, look at this 30 kilometer and 50 kilometer making 45 degree angles. If we join the tail of the first vector to the head of the last vector, that will indicate the final displacement of the aircraft. Step 4. To find the final displacement, join the start to the finish. We have created a vector triangle. So how nice the vector triangle is to look at. After drawing correctly, it is very easy to calculate now. But if you wrongly draw, it will not be correct to calculate. If you place all the information correctly in this vector triangle, the calculation will be correct. Otherwise, it can be wrong. So look at the final one. Measure the displacement vector and use the scale to convert back to kilometers. Scale factor. If you make any mistake in your scale factor and proper placement of scale and measurement be wrong, and you'll get wrong result. So you have to measure the displacement vector and then finally again we have to convert it in centimeter to kilometer. Length of the vector equals to 14.8 centimeter. So final displacement will be 14.8 multiplied by 5 equals to 74 kilometer. Step 5. Measure the angle of the final displacement vector. We have to measure the angle also by using protractor. It is very important to place the protractor correctly. Where it will be set at, you should learn it from mathematics. Okay. So after doing properly, you will get angle equals to 28 degree north of east, and therefore the aircraft's final displacement is 74 kilometer at 28 degree north of east. I think all of you get it clearly. Now we want to see more combining velocities. How can we combine one velocity with another? Problem solving 4 will give you the technique and application of combining velocities. Look at the problem designed here. An aircraft is flying due north with a velocity of 200 meter per second. A side wind of velocity 50 meter per second is blowing due east. What is the aircraft's resultant velocity? Give the magnitude and direction both. Here the two velocities are at 90 degree. A sketch diagram and Pythagoras theorem will suffice to solve the problem. So this is the clues given. We want to see the proper calculation of this. So let's continue. Solution. Step 1. Draw a sketch of the situation. This is shown in figure here. Look at all the informations are placed here. We have placed here 50 meter per second along east and 200 meter per second along north. So look at this vector is shifted here, and after that we are drawing this line. It is not to scale. Now we want to see finding the resultant of two velocities. Look at this one and this one. According to the given informations, we can see step 2. Now scales a vector triangle. We have already seen how can we draw a vector triangle. Remember that the second vector starts where the first one ends. This is shown in figure above, means previous slide you can see. And step 3. Join the start and end points to complete the triangle. Step 4. Calculate the magnitude of the resultant vector V, the hypotenuse of the right angle triangle. After that, by using Pythagoras theorem, we can say V square equals to 200 square plus 50 square, means 40,000 plus 2,500 equals to 42,500. After that, V equals to square root of 42,500 equals to 206 meter per second. And then step 5, calculating the angle theta. We know tan theta equals to opposite by adjacent, and it is nothing but 50 by 200 equals to 0.25, and theta equals to then tan inverse 0.25 means 14 degree by using your calculator. So the aircraft's resultant velocity is 206 meter per second at 14 degree east of the north. We want to see more calculations like this. Exam style question from book question number 5. First we want to see the question. A small aircraft for one person is used on a short horizontal flight. On its journey from A to B, the resultant velocity of the aircraft is 15 meter per second. Now look at resultant velocity is given 15 meter per second in a direction 60 degree east of north, and the wind velocity is 7.5 meter per second due north. So look at, suppose from A the aircraft started, okay, From A, the aircraft is moving towards B. The resultant velocity along AB is given here 15 meter per second. And AB makes an angle 60 degree with north. And wind is blowing with a velocity 7.5 meter per second due north, means this direction. Now, by using these informations, we have to solve the question number A. Show that for the aircraft to travel from A to B, it should be pointed due east. Question number B. After flying 5 kilometers from A to B, the aircraft returns along same path from B to A with a resultant velocity of 13 meter per second. Assuming that the time spent at B is negligible, calculate the average speed for the complete journey from A to B and back to A. So these are very important. Since this is exam style question, so we have to take care. Sometimes you can read the question very carefully in order to be clear more than 2, 3 or 4 times, because by using single reading you are missing some information, though it is given but it is not entering in yourself. So after doing it, look at the calculation here. Solution A, we are drawing the graph using the informations given. So look at along AB, the velocity is 15 meter per second and wind velocity is 7.5 meter per second. So the resultant one is along AB and MB is wind velocity. So we want to see what is the angle theta. Here we get sine theta equals to BM by AB, because we know sine theta equals to opposite by hypotenuse. So BM by AB means 7.5 by 15 equals to 0.3, and then theta equals to 30 degree we are getting by using calculator. And from here we can say OAM angle equals to, we can write this one already given 60 degree, and we are getting theta equals to 30 degree equals to 90 degree. So this is not, and 90 degree right towards north will be nothing but along east direction. So we can say that for the aircraft to travel from A to B, it should be pointed along AB, that is due east. I think all of you get it. Now we want to see next part of the question, part B. Let us consider time of flight from A to B. T1 equals to 5000 by 50 equals to 333.33 seconds. Next one, time of flight from B to A, it is suppose T2, and the speed is given in that case 13.5 meter per second, but distance is in kilometer. 5 kilometer means 5000 meter. After using calculator dividing 5000 by 13.5, we will get 370.37 seconds, and then total time equals to 333.33 second plus 370.37 second equals to 703.70 second, and total distance equals to 5000 plus 5000 means 10,000 meter. So what will be the average speed? Look at the total distance traveled divided by total time taken, and it is equals to 10,000 divided by 703.70 second equals to 14.21 meter per second. And that's all for the chapter 1. I have solved the most complicated maths from this chapter, and now other problems are possible to solve by yourself very easily. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining and watching. If you have any question, you can keep it in YouTube comment box. Thank you again for watching next video, and of course don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon to get the notification of the upcoming videos. Thanks again. Bye bye. Best of your luck.